Maya Chen was only 24 years old, but when she wore her hard hat and safety vest, people forgot she was young. Her hands were steady as she reviewed blueprints. Her eyes showed focus, not pride. Her heart was bigger than any building she designed. Maya worked at Riverside Architecture, a small firm in Austin, Texas. The office had cracked floors and outdated computers. Sometimes the air conditioning stopped working in the summer heat. But Maya loved it there. She didn't care about fancy equipment or wealthy clients. She cared about designing spaces that helped people. Her grandfather, Thomas Chin, raised her with one saying, "Never turn away from someone else's pain." So when a community center needed free design work, Maya volunteered. When a family wanted to add a wheelchair ramp but had no money, she drew the plans anyway. She saw people, not profit. That evening, dark clouds covered Austin. Rain poured down like buckets from the sky. Wind slapped against windows, trying to wake the whole city. Inside the office, Maya wiped sweat from her forehead as she finished a community garden design. Her intern smiled, grateful for the extra help. Then someone knocked hard on the office door. Nobody should be out in this storm. But the knock came again, even harder. Maya rushed over and opened it. Wind blew in like a hurricane. There on the ground, soaked and shivering, was an old man in a dark coat. He clutched his chest. His breathing was loud and heavy. "Sir," Maya knelt beside him. "Can you hear me?" The man's eyes opened slightly. He tried to speak, but no words came out. "Help me get him inside," she shouted to the building security guard. Together, they carried the old man to the office couch. Maya worked fast. She called 911, checked his pulse, and covered him with a blanket. His blood pressure was dangerously low. His lips were turning blue. As she worked, the man's wet coat fell open. Underneath was a sharp, expensive suit. His shoes were real leather. His watch looked like it cost more than Maya's yearly salary. Maya didn't care. She removed the wet clothes and kept him warm. She focused only on keeping him alive. The ambulance arrived 20 minutes later. Paramedics loaded the man onto a stretcher. One paramedic turned to Maya. "You saved his life. That heart episode could have killed him." Maya nodded, exhausted. "Will he be okay?" "Thanks to you, probably yes." As they wheeled him out, the old man's eyes opened briefly. He looked at Maya with an expression she couldn't read. Then he was gone, disappearing into the rainy night. Maya stood in the doorway, watching the ambulance lights fade. Something about that moment felt significant, though she didn't know why. She closed the door, locked up the office, and walked to her car through the rain. That night, she couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the old man's eyes and the way he'd looked at her, like he was seeing something more than just a young woman who'd helped him. If you're enjoying this story of redemption and second chances, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Drop a comment below telling us what you think will happen next. Your support helps us create more inspiring content. The next morning, Maya arrived at work to find a black SUV parked outside her building. Two men in dark suits stood by the entrance, looking official and serious. "Are you Maya Chen?" one asked. "Yes. Can I help you?" "Mr. Richard Hayes would like to speak with you." Maya frowned. "I don't know anyone by that name." "The man you saved last night." Her heart skipped. "Is he okay?" "He's stable. He's at St. David's Hospital and has asked to see you." Maya grabbed her bag and followed them to the SUV. The drive to the hospital was quiet. Her mind raced with questions. Who was this man? Why did he want to see her? At the hospital, they led her to a private room on the top floor. Inside, the old man sat propped up in bed, looking much better than the night before. His white hair was combed neatly. His eyes were sharp and clear. "Miss Chen," he said warmly. "Please, sit down." Maya sat in the chair beside his bed. "How are you feeling?" "Much better, thanks to you." He smiled. Do you know who I am? She shook her head. My name is Richard Hayes. I own Hayes Industries. Maya's eyes widened. Everyone in Texas knew that name. Hayes Industries was a massive real estate and construction empire. Richard Hayes was one of the richest men in America. You're the Richard Hayes? Just Richard today, he said softly. Yesterday, I was just an old man dying in the rain. And you saved me without knowing who I was. That means more than you realize. Maya didn't know what to say. Tell me about yourself, Richard continued. What do you do? I'm an architect. Well, junior architect. I design community spaces, affordable housing, parks, things that help people. His face lit up. You design with your heart. I try to. Richard looked out the window at the Austin skyline. I've built empires, Miss Chen. Skyscrapers, hotels, shopping centers. But I've never built anything that truly helped people. I built for profit, not for purpose. Maya listened quietly. I'm 83 years old, he said. My doctors tell me I have maybe 6 months. My heart is failing. My time is running out. He turned back to her. And I want to do something meaningful before I go. What do you mean? He studied her face. I want you to help me build something that matters. Something that will help people long after I'm gone. Maya's pulse quickened. What kind of project? I don't know yet, he admitted. But I know you're the person to help me figure it out. Will you come back tomorrow? Can we talk more? Maya nodded slowly. Yes. I'll come. Thank you. He smiled, and for the first time, he looked peaceful. As Maya left the hospital, her mind spun. A billionaire wanted her help. A dying man wanted to do something good. And somehow, she'd been chosen to be part of it. She walked to her car, feeling like her whole world had just shifted. Maya returned to the hospital the next day carrying her portfolio. Richard was sitting in a wheelchair by the window, wrapped in a blanket despite the Texas heat outside. You came, he said, brightening when he saw her. I promised. Most people make promises to wealthy men because of money. You keep yours because of character. Sit, please. Maya sat across from him. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Richard broke the silence. I need to tell you something before we go any further. I need you to know who I really am. I already know, Maya said gently. You're Richard Hayes. No. His voice dropped. That's my name. But it's not who I am. He wheeled himself closer to her. His hands trembled slightly as he folded them in his lap. 40 years ago, I was nobody. I grew up in a trailer park outside Houston. My father was a mechanic who drank too much. My mother cleaned houses. We had nothing. Maya listened. I worked construction jobs, saved every penny, and eventually started my own company. I was hungry, desperate to escape poverty. And I did escape it. But along the way, I hurt people. His voice cracked. I had a business partner named David. He and I started Hayes Industries together. But when we got our first big break, a major development contract, I wanted all the profit. So I forged documents, pushed him out, and took everything. Maya's chest tightened. David lost his house. His wife left him. He fell into depression. Last I heard, he died alone 10 years ago. Richard's eyes filled with tears. I destroyed a good man because of greed. Why are you telling me this? Maya asked softly. Because I don't want to die with lies between us. If you're going to help me, you need to know the truth. I'm not a good man trying to do one good thing. I'm a bad man trying to find redemption. Maya sat back. She thought about her grandfather's words. Never turn away from someone else's pain. Everyone deserves a chance to make things right, she finally said. Richard looked up, surprised. You don't hate me? I don't know you well enough to hate you. But I believe people can change. He wiped his eyes. I have one more confession. Maya waited. David had a daughter. Her name is Sarah. She's in her 40s now, living somewhere in Austin. I want to find her. I want to apologize. And I want to leave her something, not just money, but something meaningful. What do you have in mind? Richard's eyes focused on Maya. I want to build an affordable housing community. 50 homes for families who are struggling, just like David and I once struggled. I want to name it after him. And I want Sarah to oversee it, if she'll accept. Maya felt goosebumps rise on her arms. That's beautiful. But I need help finding her. And I need someone to design these homes. Someone who understands what struggling families need. Someone with heart. Maya's mind raced. This was the biggest project of her career. And it wasn't about ego or prestige. It was about healing. I'll help you, she said. Both with the design and with finding Sarah. Richard reached out and took her hand. Thank you. You have no idea what this means. When do we start? Tomorrow, he said. We start tomorrow. The next morning, Maya met with Tom, Richard's personal assistant, at a coffee shop downtown. Tom was a thin man in his 50s with kind eyes and a tired smile. Mr. Hayes told me you're helping with the Sarah situation, Tom said, sliding a folder across the table. Inside were old documents, a faded partnership agreement between Richard Hayes and David Morrison, old newspaper clippings about Hayes Industries' founding, and a single photo of David, a man with warm eyes and an honest face. This is all we have on David, Tom explained. He died in 2014. His daughter Sarah would be about 43 now. Last known address was in San Antonio, but that was 20 years ago. Maya studied the photo. Do you have her full name? Sarah Morrison. Never married, as far as we know. No social media presence we can find. Maya pulled out her laptop. Let me try a few searches. She spent an hour digging through public records, property databases, and professional licensing sites. Finally, she found something. Sarah Morrison, age 43, licensed social worker in Austin. Works at New Hope Community Center. Tom's eyes widened. That's 15 minutes from here. Should we just show up? Maya asked. Tom shook his head. Mr. Hayes wants to do this carefully. He doesn't want to shock her or cause more pain. He wants you to approach her first. Explain the situation gently. Me. Why me? Because you're not him. You're neutral. You're young and trustworthy. She's more likely to listen to you. Maya felt the weight of responsibility. What if she refuses to meet him? Then we respect her decision, Tom said firmly. But we have to try. That afternoon, Maya drove to New Hope Community Center. It was a modest building in East Austin, with colorful murals on the walls and children playing in the courtyard. Inside, a receptionist directed her to Sarah's office. Maya knocked softly. Come in. Sarah Morrison sat behind a cluttered desk covered in case files and coffee cups. She had dark curly hair, glasses, and her father's warm eyes from the photo. Hi, I'm Maya Chen. Can I talk to you for a few minutes? Sarah looked suspicious but nodded. What's this about? Maya sat down, her heart pounding. It's about your father, David Morrison. Sarah's face hardened immediately. I don't talk about him. I understand. But someone else wants to talk about him. Someone who wronged him and wants to make it right. Who? Richard Hayes. Sarah stood up fast, her chair scraping the floor. Get out. Please, just listen. That man destroyed my father. He stole everything from him. Dad died broken and poor because of him. I know, Maya said calmly. And Richard knows it too. He's dying, Sarah. He has 6 months left. And he wants to apologize. Well, it's too late. Maybe. But he also wants to do something for you. He wants to build affordable housing and name it after your father. He wants to give you control of the project. He wants to turn his guilt into something good. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Why would I believe anything from him? Because I'm asking you to, Maya said softly. I'm not rich. I'm not connected to him. I'm just someone who believes people deserve second chances, even people who've done terrible things. Sarah sat back down slowly. She wiped her eyes and stared at her desk for a long time. Finally, she spoke. One meeting. That's all I'll give him. One meeting, and if I don't like what I hear, I never want to see him again. Maya nodded. That's fair. Thank you. Three days later, Maya arranged the meeting at a neutral location, a quiet park in downtown Austin. Richard insisted on meeting outdoors, saying he wanted fresh air and openness, not the walls of an office or hospital. Maya arrived early and sat on a bench near the fountain. She watched families walking by, children chasing ducks, and elderly couples holding hands. Everything felt peaceful, but her stomach was in knots. Tom wheeled Richard to the meeting spot at exactly 2 p.m. The old man looked frail in the sunlight, his skin pale and thin. But his eyes were alert, focused. Is she here yet? He asked. Not yet, Maya said. Give her time. At 2:15, Sarah appeared. She wore jeans and a simple blue shirt. Her face was guarded, her arms crossed. She stopped 10 feet away from Richard and didn't move closer. Hello, Sarah, Richard said quietly. She said nothing. Thank you for coming. I know this isn't easy. You have 10 minutes, she said coldly. Richard nodded. I'll make it count. He took a deep breath. I destroyed your father. I stole his dream, his security, and his dignity. I was young and greedy and ruthless. And I've regretted it every single day since. Sarah's jaw clenched. I know sorry isn't enough. Words can't undo what I did. But I want you to know that your father was a good man. He was kind, honest, and hardworking. Everything I wasn't. Then why did you do it? Sarah's voice cracked. Why did you ruin him? Because I was afraid, Richard admitted. Afraid of being poor again. Afraid of failing. And in my fear, I became a monster. Tears rolled down Sarah's cheeks. He talked about you sometimes. Even after everything, he said you two were like brothers once. He never understood what changed. I changed, Richard whispered. Money changed me. Power changed me. And by the time I realized what I'd lost, it was too late. Sarah wiped her face roughly. What do you want from me? Nothing, Richard said. I don't want your forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted to look you in the eye and tell you the truth. Your father deserved better. You deserved better. Sarah stepped closer, her voice shaking. You think showing up here dying makes it okay? You think saying sorry fixes 30 years of pain? No, Richard said firmly. But it's all I have left to give. They stood in silence. The fountain behind them bubbled softly. A breeze rustled the trees. Finally, Sarah spoke. Maya told me about your housing project. Richard nodded. I want to name it Morrison Gardens, after your father. And I want you to run it. Make sure it actually helps people, the way your father would have wanted. Why would I work with you? Because it's not about me anymore, Richard said. It's about the families who need homes. It's about creating something good from something terrible. You're a social worker. You know the need is real. Sarah looked at Maya, then back at Richard. If I agree to this, I do it my way. No interference from you. No corporate greed. We build for people, not profit. Agreed, Richard said immediately. And you stay away from me. I'll work with Maya and your team, but I don't want to see you. Richard's face fell slightly, but he nodded. If that's what you need. Sarah turned to leave, then stopped. One more thing. Yes. My father forgave you before he died. He told me that holding on to anger was like drinking poison. So even though I'm not ready to forgive you, I want you to know he did. Richard's face crumpled. He covered his mouth with his hand, tears streaming down his face. Sarah walked away without looking back. Maya sat beside Richard as he wept quietly. She didn't say anything. She just stayed with him until he was ready to go. 2 weeks later, Maya stood in her office surrounded by blueprints, material samples, and community needs assessments. Richard had purchased a large plot of land on the east side of Austin, 20 acres of empty field that would become Morrison Gardens. Sarah had agreed to join the project but kept her distance from Richard, as promised. She met with Maya weekly to discuss what struggling families actually needed. Most affordable housing is garbage, Sarah said during one meeting, her voice passionate. Cheap materials, poor insulation, no thought for families with disabilities or elderly residents. Developers treat poor people like they don't deserve quality. Maya listened carefully, taking notes. We need wider doorways for wheelchairs. Ramps, not just stairs. Energy-efficient windows to keep utility bills low. Community spaces where neighbors can connect. Playgrounds for kids. Gardens where people can grow food. What about unit sizes? Maya asked. Mix of 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms. Some families are big. Some are single parents with multiple kids. One size doesn't fit all. Maya sketched as Sarah talked. Her mind was racing with ideas. Solar panels for sustainability, rain gardens for drainage, a community center with free internet and tutoring services. What's your budget? Sarah asked. Richard said to design it right first, then figure out the budget. Sarah raised an eyebrow. That's not how it usually works. He's serious about this, Maya said. He wants it to be perfect. Over the next month, Maya worked 18-hour days. She consulted with engineers, landscape architects, and disability advocates. She visited other affordable housing projects to see what worked and what didn't. Tom checked in regularly, bringing updates from Richard, who was growing weaker but remained mentally sharp. He wants to see the designs, Tom said one afternoon. Maya hesitated. Sarah said he should stay away from the project. He won't interfere. He just wants to see what his money is creating before he dies. Maya agreed. That evening, she brought her laptop and presentation boards to Richard's mansion, a sprawling estate in the hills she'd never visited before. The house was enormous but felt empty and cold. Richard sat in a sunroom overlooking the city, wrapped in blankets despite the warm evening. Maya, he smiled weakly. Show me what you've built. She set up her presentation. For 45 minutes, she walked him through every detail. The layout of the 50 homes, the community center design, the sustainable features, the accessibility considerations, the budget projections. Richard listened without interrupting. When she finished, his eyes were wet. It's beautiful, he whispered. It's everything I hoped for. Sarah helped a lot, Maya said. She made sure it's actually useful, not just pretty. She's like her father, practical and kind. He paused. Have you shown her the designs? Tomorrow. I'm nervous. Why? Because this matters. It has to be right. Richard reached out and took her hand. It is right. You've created something with soul. That's rare in this world. The next day, Maya met Sarah at a coffee shop and spread the designs across a large table. Sarah studied them carefully, asking questions, making notes, occasionally nodding. After 30 minutes, she looked up. This is really good. Maya exhaled with relief. No, seriously, Sarah continued. I've reviewed dozens of affordable housing proposals in my career. This is the best I've seen. You actually listened. I wanted to get it right. You did. Sarah smiled, the first real smile Maya had seen from her. Let's build this. 6 months after Maya first saved Richard in the storm, construction began on Morrison Gardens. The weather was perfect. Clear skies, mild temperature, a gentle breeze. A small crowd gathered for the groundbreaking ceremony. Maya, Sarah, Tom, construction workers, and a few local politicians. Richard was not there. He'd been hospitalized 2 weeks earlier. His heart was failing faster than doctors expected. He was too weak to attend, but he'd sent Tom with a message to read aloud. Tom stood at the podium and unfolded a letter. To everyone gathered here today, he read. I'm sorry I cannot be with you in person. But know that my heart, failing though it is full of gratitude. This project represents the man I wish I'd been 40 years ago. Thank you to Maya Chen for her brilliant design and compassionate heart. Thank you to Sarah Morrison for giving me a chance I didn't deserve. And thank you to David Morrison, whose memory will live on in every family that finds home here. Build with love. Build with purpose. And build something that lasts. Richard Hayes. The crowd was silent for a moment. Then Sarah picked up a shovel, drove it into the earth, and lifted the first scoop of dirt. Maya followed. Then Tom. Then others. The ceremony was brief but meaningful. After the crowd dispersed, Sarah approached Maya. Want to visit him? Maya blinked. Richard? I thought you didn't want to see him. I don't, Sarah said. But you should. He's asking for you. They drove to the hospital together. Richard's room was quiet and dimly lit. Machines beeped steadily. He looked tiny in the bed, his skin paper-thin, his breathing shallow. But when he saw Maya, his face brightened. You came, he whispered. Of course I came. He reached for her hand. Tell me about today. Maya described the ceremony, the crowd, the speeches, the first shovels of dirt. As she talked, Richard's eyes closed peacefully, a small smile on his lips. Thank you, he breathed. For everything. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. He opened his eyes and looked at her intently. You saved me twice, Maya. Once from death, and once from dying with regrets. Tears rolled down Maya's cheeks. You did the hard work. You chose to change. Because you believed I could. He paused, breathing hard. Promise me something. Anything. When Morrison Gardens is finished, invite every family personally. Shake their hands. Learn their names. Make sure they know they matter. I promise. And promise you'll keep designing with your heart. Don't let success make you cold like I became. I promise. He squeezed her hand weakly. Good. Then I can rest. Sarah stepped forward from the doorway. Richard's eyes widened when he saw her. Sarah, he whispered. She walked to the bedside slowly. I'm not here to forgive you. I know. But I'm here to say thank you. For trying. For being honest. For building something my father would have been proud of. A tear rolled down Richard's cheek. He was a better man than I ever was. Yes, he was. Sarah's voice softened. But you're trying. That counts for something. Richard nodded slightly. His breathing was getting slower, more labored. Maya held one hand. Sarah held the other. And together, they sat with him as the afternoon sun cast golden light through the window. An hour later, Richard Hayes took his last breath. It was peaceful. Quiet. Surrounded by two people who had helped him find redemption. Construction moved forward steadily. Maya visited the site every week, watching walls rise, roofs take shape, and roads curve through the landscape. The construction crew worked with unusual care. Tom had told them about Richard's story, and it motivated them to build something special. Maya threw herself into the project. She worked closely with contractors, negotiated with suppliers, and personally inspected every detail. This wasn't just another job. It was a promise she'd made to a dying man. Sarah was equally dedicated. She organized community meetings, gathered input from future residents, and made sure the project stayed focused on people's actual needs. She and Maya had become unlikely friends, bonded by their shared mission. One afternoon, as they walked the construction site together, Sarah said, "You know, I've been thinking about something." "What's that?" "Richard left me a letter. Tom gave it to me after the funeral. I haven't opened it." Maya stopped walking. "Why not?" "Because I'm afraid of what it says. Afraid it'll make me feel things I don't want to feel." "Like what?" "Like maybe I should have forgiven him while he was alive." Sarah's voice cracked. "I was so angry for so long. And now he's gone, and I can't tell him that I'm starting to understand." Maya touched her arm gently. "Understanding isn't the same as forgiveness. And forgiveness doesn't erase what happened. It just means you're not carrying the poison anymore." Sarah wiped her eyes. "That's what my dad used to say." "He sounds like he was wise." "He was." Sarah pulled the sealed envelope from her bag. "Will you read it with me?" They sat on a stack of lumber, surrounded by the sounds of construction. Sarah's hands trembled as she opened the envelope and unfolded the letter inside. "Dear Sarah," she read aloud. "If you're reading this, I'm gone. I hope my death brought you peace, not pain. I want you to know that working on Morrison Gardens was the first time in 40 years I felt like I was doing something right. Your father would be proud of what we're building, not because of the houses themselves, but because of the love and intention behind them. I'm leaving you a trust fund. Use it however you want. But I hope you'll consider using some of it to support the families who will live here. Your father taught me about partnership before I betrayed him. Maybe you can teach others what true partnership looks like. Thank you for giving me a chance to try. Richard." Sarah folded the letter carefully. Fresh tears rolled down her cheeks, but this time she was smiling slightly. "He really meant it," she whispered. "He actually changed." "Yes, he did. I wish I'd told him I saw that before he died." Maya squeezed her hand. "He knew. Trust me, he knew." 8 months after Richard's death, Morrison Gardens was nearly complete. 50 homes stood in neat rows, painted in warm earth tones. The community center gleamed with new windows and fresh landscaping. Playgrounds waited for children's laughter. Gardens waited for seeds. Maya stood at the entrance with Sarah and Tom, looking at the sign they'd just unveiled. Morrison Gardens in memory of David Morrison, built with purpose. Built with heart. "It's really happening," Sarah said softly. "Yes, it is," Maya replied. Tom handed them each a folder. "These are the applications. 50 families approved to move in. Single parents, elderly couples, working families who've been stuck in overpriced apartments. They're all waiting for you to give them the good news." Maya's heart swelled. "When do we start calling them?" "Today," Sarah said, grinning. "Let's start today." They spent the afternoon making phone calls. Each conversation was emotional. People cried. They thanked God. They asked if it was really true, if they really had a home. "Yes," Maya told each one. "You really have a home. Welcome to Morrison Gardens." By evening, all 50 families had been contacted. The move-in date was set for 3 weeks away. Maya drove home exhausted but fulfilled, feeling like she was finally doing exactly what she was meant to do. 3 weeks later, Morrison Gardens came alive. Moving trucks lined the streets. Children ran through yards. Parents carried boxes and furniture. Neighbors introduced themselves. Dogs barked excitedly. The air buzzed with hope and new beginnings. Maya and Sarah greeted every family personally, just as Richard had asked. They shook hands, learned names, and gave each family a welcome basket with household essentials and a handwritten note. Maria Rodriguez, a single mother with 3 kids, broke down crying when Maya handed her the keys to Unit 14. "I've been working 2 jobs for 5 years," Maria sobbed. "Living in a 1-bedroom apartment with all my kids. I never thought." I never imagined. Maya hugged her. You deserve this. Your kids deserve this. An elderly couple, James and Ruth Thompson, moved into Unit 32. James was a veteran with a walker. Ruth had arthritis. Their previous apartment had stairs they could barely climb. This house has ramps, Ruth kept saying, touching the smooth handrails. It has ramps. Sarah helped them unpack, hanging curtains and organizing the kitchen. That's what this place is about, she told them. Design that actually thinks about people's lives. By afternoon, the community center opened for a welcome cookout. Maya had arranged for local restaurants to donate food. A DJ played music. Kids bounced in an inflatable castle. Adults ate hamburgers and talked about their new neighborhood. Tom arrived with a special guest, a photographer from the Austin newspaper who wanted to do a story on Morrison Gardens. This is exactly the kind of positive news we need, the photographer said, snapping pictures of families laughing and playing. Mind if I interview you? Maya agreed, and for 20 minutes she explained the project's origins. How a dying billionaire wanted to make amends, how an architect and a social worker partnered to build something meaningful, how community input shaped every decision. What would you say to other developers? The reporter asked. Maya thought carefully. I'd say that affordable housing doesn't have to be ugly or cheap. When you design with dignity and respect, you create more than shelter, you create community. You create hope. The article ran the following Sunday with the headline, Morrison Gardens, How One Man's Regret Became 50 Families' Hope. Requests poured in. Other cities wanted to replicate the model. Architecture firms wanted Maya to consult on their projects. Foundations offered funding for more communities like Morrison Gardens. But Maya stayed focused on what mattered, the families already living there. She organized weekly community dinners. She helped start a homework club for kids. She connected residents with job resources and health services. Morrison Gardens wasn't just housing anymore. It was a real community. One evening, 6 months after move-in day, Sarah invited Maya to her apartment for dinner. As they ate pasta and salad, Sarah pulled out the letter from Richard again. I've read this about 50 times now, she admitted. And I finally understand what he was trying to say. What's that? That redemption isn't about erasing the past. It's about creating a better future. She paused. My father can't come back. The years he lost can't be returned. But these 50 families have something he would have loved, a safe place to call home. That's his legacy now too. Maya smiled. Richard would be proud of how you've led this project. We've led it, Sarah corrected. Together. The way my father and Richard should have done 40 years ago. They clinked their glasses together, a toast to partnership, to healing, to second chances, and to building dreams that outlast the people who dream them. 2 years after Richard Hayes died, Maya stood in front of a large audience at the Austin Convention Center. She'd been invited to give a keynote speech at the National Affordable Housing Conference. Her hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the microphone. 2 years ago, she began, I was a junior architect with big dreams and no resources. Then a storm brought a dying man to my door, and everything changed. She told the story, all of it. The rainy night, Richard's confession, finding Sarah, designing Morrison Gardens, the promises made and kept. The audience listened in complete silence. Richard Hayes wasn't a hero, Maya said honestly. He hurt people. He destroyed lives in his pursuit of wealth. But at the end, he chose differently. He chose accountability. He chose to build instead of destroy. And that choice created ripples. She clicked to the next slide, photos of Morrison Gardens residents. Maria Rodriguez now works 1 job instead of 2 because her rent is affordable. Her daughter Sophia just got accepted to college. James and Ruth Thompson host game nights every Friday in the community center. Their neighbors have become their family. 32 kids participate in our after-school program. 15 residents have started small businesses. 6 families have saved enough to buy their own homes someday. Another slide showed a new construction site. And now, thanks to donations and grants inspired by Morrison Gardens, we're breaking ground on 2 more communities. One in Houston, one in San Antonio. Each will house 50 families. Each designed with dignity, built with purpose. The audience erupted in applause. After the speech, people swarmed Maya with questions, business cards, and partnership proposals. But through the crowd, she saw Sarah waving from the back of the room. They met outside in the quiet hallway. "You killed it," Sarah said, hugging her. "I was so nervous." "You didn't look it." Sarah pulled out her phone. "Check this out. Tom just sent it to me." She showed Maya a news article. Hayes Industries establishes Morrison Foundation. $50 million pledged to affordable housing. Maya's jaw dropped. "What? How?" "Richard's estate," Sarah explained. "Tom's been working on it for months. Richard left instructions in his will. Half his fortune goes to his biological children, but the other half, $50 million, goes to this foundation. And guess who he named as board members?" "Who?" "You, me, and Tom. We get to decide how it's used." Maya felt tears spring to her eyes. He really thought of everything. He had 2 years of lying in hospital beds, planning how to make things right. Yeah, he thought of everything. They walked outside into the warm Austin evening. The city lights sparkled around them. "You know what's crazy?" Sarah said. "I spent 30 years hating Richard Hayes. And now I spend my days continuing his work. Life is weird. Do you ever regret forgiving him?" Sarah thought about it. "I didn't forgive him while he was alive. But I've forgiven him now. Not because what he did was okay, but because holding on to that anger was exhausting. And because I saw him genuinely try to change. That matters." Maya nodded. "He told me once that I saved him twice, once from death, and once from dying with regrets." "What about you?" Sarah asked. "How has this changed you?" Maya considered the question. "It taught me that good work requires more than talent. It requires heart. It requires seeing people as people, not projects. And it taught me that it's never too late to do the right thing." Her phone buzzed. It was a text from Maria Rodriguez with a photo. Sophia in her high school graduation gown, standing in front of their Morrison Gardens home, holding her acceptance letter to the University of Texas. The message read, "Thank you for giving us a place to build our dreams. We'll never forget what you and Mr. Hayes did for us." Maya showed the photo to Sarah, who smiled warmly. "That's why we do this," Sarah said. "Not for recognition or awards. For moments like that." "Yeah," Maya agreed. "For moments like that." 3 months later, Maya stood at another groundbreaking ceremony, this time for Morrison Gardens, Houston. The crowd was even larger than before. Local officials gave speeches. News cameras recorded everything. But Maya's favorite part was watching the future residents standing at the front, holding their children, crying tears of joy. After the ceremony, Tom approached her with a small wooden box. "What's this?" Maya asked. "Richard wanted you to have it. I was supposed to give it to you on the 2-year anniversary of his death. That's today." Maya opened the box carefully. Inside was a silver compass and a handwritten note. She unfolded the note and read, "Dear Maya, if you're reading this, you've kept your promises. You've built Morrison Gardens. You've helped Sarah heal. You've created something that will outlast both of us. This compass belonged to my grandfather. He gave it to me when I started my business and told me, always know which direction you're heading. I ignored that advice for 40 years. I lost my direction chasing money and power. But you've always known your direction. You move toward compassion, toward justice, toward love. Don't ever lose that. Keep building, Maya. Keep caring. Keep being exactly who you are. The world needs more people like you and fewer people like I was. With gratitude and hope. Richard Hayes." P.S. The compass always points north. But you already know where true north is. It's wherever people need help. Maya closed her eyes, holding the compass tightly. She could almost hear Richard's voice, feel his presence, sense his gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered to the sky, "for trusting me, for changing, for showing me that redemption is possible." Sarah walked over and put her arm around Maya's shoulders. "You okay?" "Yeah," Maya said, wiping her eyes. "I'm good. Just thinking about how one stormy night changed everything." "Changed everything for all of us," Sarah agreed. They stood together, watching construction workers prepare the land for new homes, new families, new hopes, new beginnings. Maya thought about her grandfather's words, "Never turn away from someone else's pain." She hadn't turned away. She'd run toward it. And in doing so, she'd helped a broken man find peace, helped a grieving daughter find closure, and helped 50 families, soon to be 150, find home. The compass in her hand grew warm from her touch. She looked down at it, watching the needle settle steadily toward north. She knew where she was heading. She was heading wherever people needed help, wherever hope needed building, wherever dreams needed architects. And she would keep going, one project, one family, one life at a time. Because that's what promises were for. That's what redemption looked like. And that's what happened when a 24-year-old architect fulfilled an 83-year-old billionaire's last wish. The end. Thank you for following this incredible journey from beginning to end. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear a story about second chances and redemption. Drop a comment below telling us, what was your favorite moment in this story? Do you believe people can truly change? What would you do if you had unlimited resources to help your community? We love reading your thoughts and feedback. And if you want more inspiring stories like this, hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Remember, it's never too late to do the right thing. It's never too late to build something meaningful. And it's never too late to choose compassion over pride. See you in the next story. House Red Heart.